pending or have to be favored for that 6 or for that 7, 8 spot. And don't call me a homer, but I still think the Sixers can make a run for it.
Do you see them sticking out the season? They dealt D'Alembert. Do you see Iguodala remaining a Sixer? Or do you think it's pretty much start over time and rebuild around a guy like Turner? Or do you think they keep Iguodala's contract and try to make that work?
He'll be there. He'll be there this season. I can't tell you for the rest of this season, but Iguodala, the front office their hearts are tied to Iguodala right now, and now that they've got Turner, he can. They're hoping that Evan Turner can do his job and let Iguodala do his true job, which is be second fiddle, be the athletic man, be the guy who can get everything done. Yeah, exactly. That is where Iguodala is going to be most effective, and I think they want to watch that play out. So he'll be there this season, and he's on trial this season, basically, but we'll see after that.
That Central Division, Cleveland's off to a 6-1 preseason, but they can't contend in this division, can they?
I think they'll squeeze the playoffs. I don't think they'll contend for much in that. I think they contend for a playoff spot and sneak in.
Who's your favorite to win? Chicago?
Yes.
Yeah, Chicago will be there. Chicago will be there.
Okay, here's a team I like, guys, and I was talking about. I like Milwaukee. I tell you what, if Andrew Bogut didn't get hurt last year, Milwaukee was a real threat to come up win the East. Once they made the trade to get John Salmons, up until the point Bogut got hurt, they had the best record in the NBA for an extended month-and-a-half period there. This is a team that not a lot of people know about, but I think they can sneak up on some people and do that. So I have Milwaukee sneaking out and winning the Central this year with the Bulls a little bit behind. And I think the Bucks can make some noise in the playoffs, too.
That's definitely possible. The one thing I look at is the fact that when Salmons was traded from Sacramento to the Bulls, he had that on-fire play at the end of the year, but then the very next season, he was a disappointment up until the trade. That's something to look for here.
Yeah.
And then one thing as well is that Scott Skiles is the type of coach that coaches his young team very well, but then it falls apart in a hurry. I think this year they're still a playoff team. I don't see them overcoming Chicago with the talent they have there this year.
Vince, do you see anything out of Indiana, Detroit, or we already talked about that? We already talked about those Indiana or Detroit in the Central. Do you see anything about them to get excited about?
Indiana is somebody I keep my eye on. Yeah, Detroit, I'm not ready. I could be wrong, but I'm not ready to. They're more of a long shot. I like Indiana right now. I'm on this kind of this preseason kick. I like the teams that seem to be showing me a little something with their bench this year, and bench equals depth. So we don't want to sell short the preseason too much. I like Indiana.
Now, speaking of the preseason, Orlando Magic are off to a 7-0 start. Jess already mentioned how talented this team is. They're still one of the top 2 or 3 threats in the East to come out. And other than them in Miami, they're going to be in a heated battle to see who wins this division. Who comes out on top, Jess?
I think in the end, because of who they'll be playing the rest outside of the division, I think Miami wins that division. Head-to-head, that's going to be very even because the one thing that Miami lacks is a matchup for Dwight Howard. And Dwight Howard, at least early on, he's kind of put away Superman, the fun stuff, and he is all business. At least right now, he seems to be all business and wants to take that next step to be more of the force offensively that Shaq was, and not just the defensive juggernaut that he is.
Then looking at the other three teams, Charlotte, Atlanta, Washington, can either of these teams surprise?
Atlanta. Atlanta, I think you look at, and they're not only going to be a surprise. I think they're going to make some noise this year. I really like Atlanta of those three teams. You got Miami, who I think is going to come out of the East. You got Orlando, who I think is for number 2. Number 3, I look at Boston, and 4, I think, is Atlanta.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm a huge Joe Johnson fan too, and I'm kind of glad. I'd like to see once a guy builds that team up a little bit. I hate to see when they leave and jump ship. Like Joe Johnson leaving Atlanta would have crippled them, I think. So, and they're in trouble financially anyway. So, the Hawks are a team I keep my eye on. So, you already said it. You got the Heat coming out of the East. Jess, who's coming out of the East?
I think Miami's going to be the number 1 team. I think that they're going to go through enough of the regular season. They're going to have the easier time because of their star power overall. But I think they come out number 1 in the league.
Okay, well, you guys got the Heat winning the East. I'm going to take a different route. I'm going to stick with the old guys. I'm going to say the Boston Celtics for one last good run. The Celtics are going to come out of the East, win the East. And you know what? I don't even think it's going to be against the Heat. I think they're going to knock off the Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Magic will beat the Heat in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So I got Boston heading back to the finals. So let's have a
actually, Matt, I want to change that. I was intending coming out of the East. I was going into the playoffs. I had Miami. I actually have them losing in the second round to Boston. I want to correct that. I do have Boston making the finals one more time. But I had Miami going in as the number 1 seed overall.
All right, then. We have been corrected, and we agree once again. Southwest Division. This is a competitive division, guys. New Orleans, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston. A team I really like. I love these young teams for some reason. I've always liked Memphis. They got a lot of good young talent. They're off to an outstanding start in the preseason. You know, San Antonio's getting older. New Orleans, it just seemed to be missing something. Houston and Dallas, you know what you're going to get out of them. Who's going to win this very tough division?
I've got San Antonio. They've still got Tim Duncan. The guy that they brought out of the year that they drafted, Chandler Splitter, I believe will be a big impact. I think Richard Jefferson, he kind of was lost last year, but coming back, I think will have a much more positive impact. And Tony Parker's in the contract year. I think that will be a big year for them. I still see them coming out as the division over. I have them over Houston and as the other playoff team coming from that division.
I tell you what, Splitter looked outstanding at times in the World Championships last month or so. It seemed like last month, probably a couple months ago. Yeah, he looked outstanding. So it's another weapon for the Spurs. Who do you like coming out of the Southwest here, winning this one, Vince?
Yeah, I'm going with the Spurs also. I think that's a easy pick. To be honest, I think they come out like Jess said. They still have Duncan, and I don't see too many people competing with them. Houston number 2.
Okay, well, you guys, I still see the Spurs getting a year older. Granted, they're replacing a lot of young talent with guys like Blair, Splitter. George Hill is fantastic. I have them right up there, and it's going to be the same old stuff. They're going to be battling the Mavericks, who, Mavericks still have Dirk. They still have Haze and Jason Kidd. They're still a very good team. But I'm going to give Dallas a slight edge in that division. I see Memphis making the playoffs. I think 4 teams can make the playoffs in this division. I think it's that good. Houston, have we seen the last of Yao Ming, or do you think he's going to make it through the year this year?
I think he gets scaled back, and I think he will make it through this year. And I think with the addition of Brad Miller will be a very good pickup for them. playing along Luis Scola